is Cowana versus Vitality. See you in a moment.
Big.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Phoenix rises again here in Europe, and it's game number 1. Vitality versus Cowana Gaming. Our first matchup of this season, or of the stage here. We'll consider for ourselves, this is kind of the start of the season proper, as we are finally in the studio, but it is stage 2 of the 2021 season, 2 out of the 3 stages that we have in the year. I'm Milosh, this is Jess. And we're going to bring you a bit of action here before we actually start our matchup itself. Just a bit of time for you to get your packs and maybe learn something new, because that's what we are here for. There's a lot of big heads to pick at in
I got the big 5
test.
head.
Yeah. I've just got a big head full stop.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, we all have to make sure not to float with how many heads we have in between us for this one. It's just the ego. It's overinflated.
I wonder where the hell you're going with that. I won't lie.
Yeah, we're awful at this. Let's have a chat then about our teams, because, you know, Vitality, Cowana, they've both had, I want to say, decent seasons. Vitality a decent season, Cowana a pretty good one, especially for their first one. So I'm quite excited to see what they can bring. First of all, let's put Vitality up on the chopping block and have a chat about them. Here they are with Cactus, Before, Bibu, Rise, and Shinka.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Vitality, actually, because I was the first one to say, especially after they'd made changes again, they took a lot of criticism from the community about those changes, and rightfully so. They had that super team. The super team didn't work out. They brought in this French roster, and I saw a lot of potential. They have super staff behind them. They've got Lelewin, they've got Helby, they have a really good structure behind them. It was little timing issues in the first 3 weeks of their playdays in stage 1, and that's why you can see against BDS, against Rogue in those first 2 playdays, they didn't do too well, and then they found themselves. And that was where I could tell that those strategies, you could tell they were scrimming, were coming to fruition. Coordination, teamwork, you could see the communication. I was really happy for them, because it is very hard to bring a brand new team into a stage and do well very quickly. We've seen that with a mass amount of teams. They didn't last long, did they? So that's why I'm very excited for Vitality to keep that going.
I still have nightmares about that game against Rogue in the second week. That game of Consulate was something else. There's a reason why it's down as their worst maps, all I'm saying.
Yeah, understandable, honestly. And you know what? Vitality, we said they were going to take their time for this. Yep. They did. And when we had our interview with Vitality, they kind of explained it to us that, hey, we came in with pretty much no practice on the first day, because we had just really formed this new team.
And the transfer bracket as well, they close at a certain time. You don't get much time between it in the stage, so you're right.
Literally last minute for Vitality in all of these things, which is unfortunate, but again, you've dealt that hand to yourself, and they had to deal with it. They ate the L's in the beginning, they came back, and they got themselves kind of middle of the pack here as to prepare themselves for stage 2. Though Vitality's opponents is Updavana with Cowana on the other side.
Updavana.
Des, fill us in on the UK Massive Squad.
Yeah, for a team newly promoted, not having a bad first stage. Kendry probably one name if you're looking at this and didn't really watch last stage. You think, wait a minute, he's on Na'Vi. No, he did move across. These boys had a couple of changes coming in. Kayak, of course, going across to G2 was what I thought was going to be a really damaging change for them. But Kendry came in, and on the days where the rest of the team weren't really hitting their heyday, he was an absolute monster. And as the stage wore on, everyone else really woke into it. I've got to give a massive shout out to Grizzly, by the way, because we came into this stage hyping up the likes of Gorgona, Sloth as their primary entries, but Grizzly, he turned into a Grizzly Bear by the time the stage ended. Absolutely, yeah, just like you, Milosh. Absolute monster by the time things came around. You can see they've had a very similar journey. In fact, if you turn around and move the game against Rogue in their first one into week 3, their win-loss almost stacks up nearly identically to Vitality. The problem with Vitality was they had a number of overtime wins or losses, so it damaged their points. So the teams aren't actually all that far apart. Quite crucially, last game of the season was against Vitality. Cowana lost 7-2. They got absolutely slapped on Chalet, so it goes to show the teams are closer than you'd think.
If Vitality were more prepared on Chalet, maybe Cowana were kind of said, you know what, we're already in the top 4. This game doesn't really matter too much for us.
Maybe.
There's a lot of questions that could be said around it. Usually the last game of the stage is not the most important one for teams that don't have a lot of stakes over them. And we kind of were very clear when we actually were talking about this in the big weekend that we had, a super weekend for EUL back in April. But yes, again, a valiant victory for the team. The big problem for Vitality was finishing matches, even if it took them to OT. Is it going to be well today against Cowana? Maybe both teams will need some time to warm up. Who knows? I'm curious about the head-to-head. So you guys picked one player out of each one of these two teams. Now I'm quite curious. It is Bibu and Grizzly. Wow, it's like you set it up.
Imagine. It's almost like we get to pick these when talking about them. Look, we've done nothing super phenomenal here. We've picked out the 2 top-rated players on either side. Grizzly, I've already hyped up to the high heavens here as well. Again, phenomenal performance from him when normally the focus goes on to players like Sloth and like Gorgona. If he carries on like this, if Kendrew has his early stage performance repeat again, if Sloth can find his mojo, he hasn't really found that yet so far in EUL, they could be a phenomenal team, but Grizzly is definitely the one leading the charge.
You're looking over at Bibu and you're unfortunately having to compare him to Grizzly and you're going, well, he has a much lower rating. That's purely because the load is shared across Team Vitality within 0.06 of a rating. It's incredible. They are the team that has the closest ratings of all the 5 players on the team in the entire league. I've gone through it. I've double, triple checked. So for me, I think that him having a 1.06 doesn't really mean much other than he happens to be by 0.01 the best player in the team. So sharing the load, they're doing a mass amount.
Everybody's working together. That's the team you want. That's the positivity. That's what we're taking out of those numbers. Numbers on their own, they're quite boring. But when you give them that context that we're here to give in the background, really puts things into perspective. Then I think our lobby is pretty much ready. Let's have a chat about our map in the series. Again, a best-of-1 series as we have them in here with our overtime rules.
I was going to say, this is going to be crucial, Milosh. The moment you get these maps up and you start to work out, okay, some of these maps will be really good for Vitality, really bad for Cowana, and vice versa. They don't share a lot of similarities in their maps. So when that does come up, I think that'll be the really big shock factor here. You'll either gasp or you either do the fist pump and you'll be like, yeah, let's go up the Varna. I'm not sure. I think we're versing each other today. You could tell I'm Vitality.
Yeah, you're always a shot for them, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're...
I think it's just
UK boys. Consulate.
It's Yoon.
Oh.
It's the impact. There it is. Consulate will be the map we're going to go to. Cowana will ban Villa in the series to take us to Consulate, and because that is the case, they pick the map. Essentially, Vitality get to pick their starting side. They go in defense. Cowana are left with the attack. Honestly, for Consulate, does it really matter which side you start on? It's a pretty equilibrium kind of map.
These days, yeah, I think it's very, very balanced. You know, speaking of the attack and defensive sides, I'm really keen, as we spoke about quite a lot yesterday with APAC, to see what the impact of Flores is on this map as well. Yeah. Lots of soft flooring. Some teams were using him on maps like Clubhouse to open up hallways where you didn't want to stick a player in case they get C4'd. Consulate's a great example for that. So whether or not Cowana have opted to bring the Flores into their lineups, that's going to be a big one on this map, especially when you've got a little bit more flexibility. There's no massive reliance on bringing multiple hard breach operators, Jess.
Big thing as well, Consulate was one of the most played maps out of all of the maps to be able to jump into EUL in Stage 1. So it's a map that you know all teams are going to want to go to. 9 times out of 10, it's second most played if you want to know specifically. And I was looking over at some of the stats, at least for Vitality, and I thought to myself, well, they lost to Rogue, you remember, in Stage 1, but it was overtime loss.
It was the nightmare game that I remember very well.
That's the one you were referencing, but it was an OT game. I do think that it's not necessarily representative of how they're going to play today, naturally, but I do think that that doesn't show too much weakness. And then you've got nothing else statistically to go off of. So it's kind of like a clean slate.
All right, that said, our lobby just was confirmed that it is ready to go, so I'm very excited. Jess, thanks so very much for shedding some light on the happenings of this game. I'm very excited to see what things come down on Consulate. We've visited Consulates quite a bit in the meantime.
Successfully.
Very successfully. So
and Team Vitality will be successful.
Well done, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done.
That's how we got here.
We did nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did a lot.
Anxiety. It's mostly anxiety, but yeah. So here it is. That aside, it is time for us to throw things to our casters. Thanks so much, my friends. Hap and Fluke await us for our first matchup of EUL Stage 2. Let's toss it to them.
Hello. Thank you. Welcome. Whoa, it's the first game. There's so many great things that are happening. Bam. We're in a studio. Bam. We have AimLab as a sponsor that occasionally hilariously shows up underneath the desk of those guys like a before and after between Dez and Jess. Bam! We find ourselves going to Consular for the first game of the first Playday. We have so many ahead of us.
So many firsts as well. But hey, it is going to be a new lineup of Cowana. No, actually not. That's later.
It's
the same lineups. The same lineups going through here. Fatality versus Cowana. First match.
We had
that
a
we're
whole
gonna
piece
go
on
up.
this earlier.
I know we have.
Yeah.
We are going to see a new operator in play, though.
I know.
That is
Flores.
going to be
And
Flores.
We've seen a fair bit of Flores across
True.
the APAC
Yes.
region. I know we've seen a little bit in NA, as far as I'm aware. I haven't, unfortunately, been able to massively keep it. We've been busy with some other things.
Busy with
We've
other
been busy
things,
in Paris.
like preparing for
Getting everything rehearsed. And from this point onwards now, it's, we can,
Smooth sailing.
enjoy amazing. But either way, what we can talk about is what we've seen from him so far. You look at Consular as a map, and I think what we've seen from Flores' play is it's likely positions where he can make things work, and there's generally two roles that you see him utilized in generally. One is you're going through the drone hole, you're going to take care of shields or any other possibility there. You're thinking, okay, well, that, basement push.
Yeah.
You're looking at some close angles there. You've also got yellow stairs if you want to swing. Two, let's keep talking about that basement push, and let's talk about the fact that people have been using it for soft destruction on verticality. They've been using it to open holes, open angles, and sort of have that as a resource where it's like bringing multiple breaching charges. You have that option of how you want to run it. And that's just two of the curious ways that we've seen it put to paper so far.
It definitely is, and one that I was theorizing myself as well. Of course, I'm not at this level, so I'm not sure if it will be used like that. But normally, sometimes you have a player that is just dug in a corner, and you want to get rid of him, but like you have two angles, and none of these angles barely scratch him, you know what I mean? So you get that droning, you let it detonate right underneath his feet just to force him out, and with that you have the opportunity of pushing him into an angle that is actually being covered. But that is, of course, a very situational use of the drone. But what you are going to do is we're going to go underway. You do see the mirror being 6 picked out to a 1-eye. So that is going to be making sure that the throwables will be a bit harder to use, as more of them will be caught, as both the Jaeger and the 1-eye are on.
Okay, it's great to be back. It's great to be back watching, obviously, these teams go, because SI was fantastic. It was a lot of fun to deep dive in, but the strange positioning of it, which obviously had to be done, where it wasn't at the sort of end of the year, it was partially into this year, means that some of these teams, they'd built up a lot of steam and a lot of momentum, and where they would then usually have a major, which obviously didn't happen, to try and fight, and when they would usually have something to go into big international play, they didn't have. So you're looking at Cowana especially here as this curiosity point of they would have been one of those teams fighting on the biggest stage. What have they been able to do in that gap of play, in that gap of time, to sort of ensure this clarity and consistency in the second split?
That's it. What could they have done? And, well, it's going to be their mission now to use these couple of stages, the next two, to set themselves up to potentially go to SI. As Vitality still setting up on Armory. It's going to be a bit of pressure coming down. You see Sloth on the side window, you see Kenru from the eastern ones, and they're trying to find out where exactly he's playing at. And as the drone is coming in, Sloth barely misses the shots right there, so Rise will stay alive for now. There's a bit of cover on the other side of things. Speed 4 just standing by, hoping to get an impactful kill here.
Oh, he had gone undetected for such a long period of time, just saw the flicker on that backside, and now that's allowed them to sort of apply this pressure from the swing of Kendrew. You've got to try and force these bodies out in a bit of a pinch push, but it's the first to fall is Kendrew as the E1D rotates and rolls off, tries to offer this back to Sloth, who's biting and being vicious, but Vitality have so much of a structure here that they don't need to fall back. They still had that back line. They had the possibility to stick in, and that's just two bodies thrown completely to the wolves, unable to catch it. And Consular is a game of windows. It's a map of holding angles, seeing if you can put enough pressure to force them into an unfortunate situation.
It is definitely, and if you can make sure that they have no opportunity of entering the building from these windows, well then in that case, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. As Grizzly right here, able to pop off 1 or 2 shots. In the meantime, P4 coming up from the flank from the spiral stairs and should just be able to pick him up easily, but it seems like he has no clue where he's gone. And this is going to be going all the way up right now. We'll be well aware of the fact that he's not there. Spots the feed, I believe, maybe? He might be weird. Plant in the meantime going down, though.
Yeah, and Arkic's just been able to get in with all the cover going through. Cowana has it. There's the C4. Bibu is able to stop it just in time. A minute left, though, and the fight is going to come round on the top of the yellow stairs. Grizzly still just putting these bites in, but not quite able to lock off it. There it is. Great take on Cactus. Puts it into a 2 versus 2. An E1D, and those calls allow them to put the pressure onto Bibu. Somehow, Cowana have been able to retake all of this pressure, rotate, get the momentum itself, but well, they're just going to lock it off with the final kill. Credit there to the remaining backline that was able to build up. Even though everything had started to fall away, all the attention had generally been driven to a situation where they found this slip into the site.
You would guess, like, after 2 kills being picked up that early on by Vitality from admin to the 2 players that were trying to challenge, that would have been a secured round, but in the meantime, Cowana deciding to go from every single other direction there was and finding success in every single one of them. And with that, finding that round win somehow. But it doesn't matter. They got it now. So that's the point. They got the win. That's all that matters in the end. And, well, you might have been off to a bit of a rough start in that first round, but as long as you do not repeat that mistake, then you shall be fine. And as we see Vitality moving over to the first floor to lobby press, it's going to be a different side to be used by them, and they might be wondering themselves as well. We had 2 men of an advantage. How did we manage to throw that one in the bin?
It was a hefty use of Lion and Takebi. It was the calls that were sort of underneath that pulse of the EU1D that really just drew all of the focus and the attention towards, I guess, unfortunate situations. There was obviously the rotate underneath on lobby that couldn't quite catch the bodies. They were close enough, but unfortunately not close enough to catch either side. And it puts you in these situations of one missed opportunity, sure, but they had a bit of complacency. They had a little bit of comfort. They were waiting. They were hesitating. When you're in a 5 versus 3 against those pulses, it makes sense. But it gave Cowana just the little aspect, and we saw slivers of that. It was a bit cavalier from Vitality, charging across the top when they've still got all of these long angles held.
It definitely did not help them as Slough here. Spotting out one of the yokais. They're having no clue that it's here, and they might be going for a bit of a push right there as the Malusi Banshee will be taken care of. They're trying to go for a plan, but a vertical from above by P4 will be held. And with that, the whole setup that Cowana tried to pull off basically got stalled now. So they need to go for these kills, and Kendra starts that off strong.
Yeah, they tried to be very sneaky about it and get in, but I mean, you expect that door. Your hold is set up to counter that door. It's very tricky to pull that off, especially with no smokes. And, you know, it takes one angle that's already been delivered and kind of put together. That's usually why you'll see that speedy rush without any of the smoke covers actually happen towards Piano instead, because it's less expected and it's a bit tougher to have yourself in the vertical situations because you're still doing setup elsewhere, whereas you need somebody in that projector eyeing down and expecting a fight from Suicide anyway. So it's balanced back off. You're looking at the cost of the thermite, not the worst. On this map, it means the bathroom might be a little bit tougher if you're trying to pull in from the back corridor, but otherwise, as I said, it's not really the way you dig into this site.
Bottom of yellow, Rise is trying to sneak up, takes out a drone, has to move, so the spots will be coming down from the E1D. The question is, will he be chased? Yes, he will. Managed to pick up one, though, before he drops himself, and that means that 3-on-3 trade will be there, and now the diffuser will be recovered. The question is, can they manage to find themselves a way into the site? There's a bit of a rotation into the bathroom. They might be able to find an angle onto Cactus, who most likely will be trying to find an angle himself as well.
So Cactus, with these drones that have been absolutely monumental on this site, they can double the dance across the hatches, which we've seen EUL teams, as well as many others, utilize them in that sort of power structure for. It's a very tall situation, it's a very tall map, and hiding those in those close corners means you generally have to try and dig your way through to the Echo instead, especially if the IQ is not on the board. The pressure comes from underneath, the grenade bounce around the corner, Cactus just, actually I was going to say just survives, but really, the sturdy armor allows him to have a little bit more. Goes with another grenade, another bit of depth as P4 finds one on the split. There it is. Another pickup, another trade, but P4 had already done a bit of work down the back stairs, puts them in a tricky situation now. Another 2 versus 2. This time an entirely different 2 operators that are on the board, generally apart from Grizzly, who's the only one still standing from before a 1 versus 1. The big problem right now is that verticality. Grizzly's going to see if he can find and stick somewhere, but everywhere is open. There's the default cam, still popping that ping away. It's the concerning pace and the pressure of going with this early place. Shinka will be well aware. Pops the top, but Grizzly sticks it, as he knew he generally had to, and is able to slip out of that as well. That is a real missed moment from Shinka, and that could have been the sort of icing on the cake here. It puts Grizzly in a great situation, because now you've got to take this perilous excursion out a very big door with a lot of walls. Goes close, goes the right way. The detection comes through, but doesn't have to swing on it yet. There's the spray, though. Grizzly, 2 rounds. He has been one of the few left standing.
Sticking it, keeping his cool here as well as the run out is there, just not peeking until you actually see him. And as well, using that MK14 rather than a machine pistol available to him, just to make sure that he was surely going to be putting him down. And round 2 here for Cowana. Again, not really proper start, trying to go for a quick push, and well, you lost your Thermite as a result. It's not the biggest operator to lose for the site, but still, it's an early drop. You lose the diffuser down in the site. You need to recover that one. Half that went pretty quickly, though. Not really any struggle in that. And after that, we kept on one-on-one trading until the very end, where we did see the kill coming through, of course, from Grizzly, the Mark 14. That means Cowana now winning 2 of these sites. Fatality deciding that they will not be continuing the rotation. They will be going back to that top floor, as they definitely had something there. You know, they managed to pick up the first 2 opening kills. Their play on denying the windows in the admin office was very strong. They just need to make sure that they can capitalize on that, and that is something they failed to do. Drone will be taken out. Just small pieces of information gone, and, you know, you never know if that one will be coming back to hunt or haunt them in the end.
Curious to see what adaptations we get here from Vitality, and to be fair, I think the only thing that really lapsed them there was a little bit of a blasé attitude, a bit of a lack of coordination and communication in covering how Cowana can strike back quickly. There's a perfect opener, though. You get rid of the man that's been that final person standing for a couple of rounds, obviously just clutched out the round before, but you also get rid of those calls that were very good and very vicious at just sort of stopping anything Vitality wanted to do. You could see consistently they were waiting for those, let's let them pass, let's take care of these bouts utility, instead of swinging themselves in and getting the fight across. And I think it's good for Vitality to sort of step up to the medal and say, well, before you get here, we're going to make you uncomfortable. It's just making sure that they remember, because Cowana, they smell an opportunity, and sometimes they'll just go for it full sort of force.
Definitely so, and as drones are being moved up, they will be trying to take control of the yellow stairs in the bathroom area. At least it looks like that. In the meantime, we have Gorgona cutting off the rotation, and actually as soon as Rise is debating whether or not to use that rotation to move into connector, he goes off of that angle. However, they are very well aware of Bibu, just standing on top of the table right there. They're trying to get rid of him. Concussions are being tossed in, impacts as well. Grenade now will be coming in as well, but will be missed as he moves right into the corner. Second one will be coming in. Surely he will not be able to dodge that one. As Kendra gets that kill, brings it back to a 4-4, but a lot of utility was used on that one.
Yeah, it's that sort of balance of those grenades, and when you're looking at the cost of these Rooney gates, we know she massively popped into prevalence, especially on this map, as soon as she was able to be added, because it's a big blow to the utility, whether it's the drones in the pockets or just anything else. It means that sort of juggle that's always been famous on Consular of trying to dig someone out the top of yellow or trying to dig someone out the back of the CEO becomes so much worse. P4, who's playing this loose game to mixed results so far, is able to slip away. Yet another hold, but with Sloth holding onto that yellow rotation, it's going to mean that anything else that they do and set themselves up for, the pressure that Vitality's feeling, slightly alleviated. Kendrew goes down, the spray and the pop over the top comes through. A Narkick, he's a man who's just determined to try and stick it, and this time he's going to see if he can make it count. No! P4 twice in a row underneath, but Sloth takes this moment to strike. The momentum builds up. The change to Malusi means that's an easier drop, but with the fight over long desk and the flashes coming out, he's quite concerned as to which angle he's going to try and breach this. The shoulder is covered, and there's one. It's another 2 versus 1. Yet again, Cowana have been able to just strike back on this top floor, dig in with this quick movement and momentum. Leaves just P4 on the pick back round. Great take against Gorgona. Caught a little bit lacking inside that bathroom. They're well aware of where he's coming from. It just leaves Sloth, who's going to see if he can stick that plant for now, but the pings are coming through. 15 seconds and he doubles back down. Goes for the second swing on this, and so far there's not been a response yet again. they've been able to get themselves in and get this diffuser down. And yet again, it's a bit of a blow here. That's 2 sticks in a row where Vitality just weren't responding directly to the intel that they had. Sloth's going on a bit of a walkabout. Wants to back up, and you're hoping he's getting the call right now because he's about to fall victim to what he has done before. Sloth, man, wake up!
No information on that defuser, at least no sound that the defuse was being stuck. With that able to successfully do it. I get what he was trying to do. He wanted to go for it, wanted to try and go for a little bit of a bait there, but wasn't able to find it. And with that, Cowana now will be losing their first round, and Vitality will be winning. And you're thinking about it, and it was like, again, they were on the back foot. Again, they managed to bring it back almost into a round win for them. Something they have been consistently doing for now. The opening is basically Vitality, and everything afterwards is Cowana.
So that explains why they didn't go for that retaker sound bug. Unfortunately, it is the nature of the beast, and it's the worst one to have. But either way, I think it still gives us stuff to talk about here because, you know, what we're seeing from Vitality is they're playing this caution intel-driven game later on throughout the latter half of most of these rounds in these maps. And where they're at their best and where they're stumbling Cowana is where they sort of just go with their guts and go with that energy, because Cowana are a team that will always do that. They'll always throw themselves into the fire, into the sort of mantle, and see what gets made. And because of that caution that Vitality are expressing, because they want to try and control Consular, it's a tough map to control because it's so quick when a quick team is on it.
It is, and I have to say that like that last round, you can really blame Cowana for it, actually, that they lost it. And you were like, why? But the thing is, they saw P4 at Yellow Stairs. They saw him run away as they just failed to get the kill from the door, and they knew he was in Piano or Antechamber or Circle Desk, but they decided to completely ignore him. That's okay. But not if he has verticality, which he had. He had 2 impacts he could use to try and take out the Deplanter. They saw him repelling in. They even shot a couple of shots down onto, I believe it was Kendra who went for the plant, Anarchic who went for the plant. So at that point of knowing, all right, he's stuck behind the desk. I guess I'll just toss up that impact and I'll get the kill. And with that, you lose a member, you now need to recover that diffuser, and you need to push for a couple of kills as you lost that advantage again. So they had the information, just didn't act on it.
100%, and I think that's one of the other things. That's the two-edged sword of one of those sort of teams that sees an opportunity and throws themselves into it on those big executes, is you have a look at a team that does play with good structure like Vitality does, and when it is in their pace, you understand why they want to keep it in their pace, is because it's locked off. Those plays, those verticalities, that's 3 attempts on a plant, and all of them have been shut down by the standard hold onto that plant spot, the standard verticality that Consular is full of. And you can take a chance, you can take a risk, and I think that's always a big part of this game, is sometimes you just got to risk a play and see if you can make it work. Yeah. But that's 3 times in a row, granted at different paces. We've seen Cowana go, let's try and stick this, and that's 3 times it's been shut down by that player that you know is generally going to be around that area.
That's it, right? Like, they try and go quick, they get shut down for it, they somehow manage to still salvage the round and walk away with it, except for, of course, the last one. But then you're wondering, like, why do you have to go quick if your mid-game is this good? They dropped the diffuser in the middle of the site 3 rounds in a row now. You would assume, just assume, it's not really the game plan. But that could be me. But, you know, and somehow they managed to bring it back. Very good on them, actually. Like, they play calm, they play very organized in that, well, situation when they're basically on the back foot. And it is a big strength to have. It just feels like unnecessary to be in that back foot situation.
Yeah. But I think one of the biggest strengths that we've always seen Vitality have is towards the end of a game, when things are sort of a prolonged game, that's generally when some of the best siege that they play comes out. They sometimes take a little bit of time to warm up, and you know, maybe that's why Cowana want to go quick. They're aware of this fact and the statistic that Vitality are a really good late game team. That sort of years of experience across the board that they have is stuff that comes to this boil later on, and they get their best results. So trying to apply this pace, trying to give yourself a big sort of dividend, you still can't sacrifice some of the cost of the rest of the game here. Rise on the top floor, it's a quick map if you want to rotate down. We've always talked about the hatch synergy that this offers, and you know, it's curious to see if they're going to go for these takes. Pre-firing just around the hatch towards the bathroom to see if they can get a little bit lucky, but They're still sort of trying to find the security. And Bibu, you know, as I said, it's a quick map if you want to rotate down. He's prepped for that now if the pressure starts to come towards them. And they still have 4 C4s in pocket. They're still more than able and more than happy to set up because they have that plan B, which is blow them through the floor.
And that Rise, of course, hiding in the cupboard as well as P4 coming around on the flank, spots out a player right there. Oh, misses the shot almost, but manages to get away with it. Cowana will drop. And that is going to be the line gone. They will know exactly where it came from and will probably be aware of him rotating all the way out as well as Bibu gets picked up by a grenade. Just Rise being caught off right here. They had no clue. He's trying to fall back into safety now. Will he be allowed to fall all the way back into Spiral Stairs and descend that as well? Oh, no, he's just going to go for the kills instead.
Fantastic take there by Rise. He almost got the double there onto Kendrew too, and he's still putting this pressure onto Sloth, who's trying to find his way back into this fight. The C4 goes round. He gets scraped just a little in the second engagement, but otherwise look at this body that's coming around the backside. Kendrew has now put him in a tricky situation. He's lying down waiting for the fight, looks the wrong place and doubled down by Kenny, but 40 seconds now sitting on the clock of 3 versus 3. They've finally been able to get some of this verticality, but you've still got a C4 in pocket. You've still got, obviously, those canisters too, so they can't try and just throw themselves into the standard smoke plant. As the first one pops off, 30 seconds, the mirror window is going to mean that any of this aggression down the stairs without pushing them out is going to be dangerous. There's a C4, and there goes Ken.
Target.
Great play there by Cactus, expecting that pressure, and with 20 seconds, it puts them in a really tricky situation. There is another canister. There is a Gnar kick. He was usually the first body off the board before. Now he is the only one standing with 10 seconds left. A heck of a run round. There's a body that's holding the white side, and it's going to take care of him. Vitality. That is a much better round than we've seen them play before.
It is a much better round indeed. Able to strike back here. First of all, P4 on the flank, able to pick up one, falling back immediately, not overstaying his welcome there. You have Rise that is just hiding in the cupboard there. Lack of droning on the side of Cowana made sure that he was allowed to stay there, allowed to pick up a kill, 2 even, and almost 3. And then Cowana, well, are currently drawed up to Vitality. There is no more lead that they have, and the early round advantage, or well, basically the early round disadvantage they made up in these rounds are just worth 2 points now. No more lead for them. It is Vitality to equalize that score and are looking to improve on it on the last 2 rounds on their defense themselves.
Now, P4 has been such a big problem for Cowana across this map. His positioning has consistently sort of been unchecked for a team that is throwing themselves before into this setup of the Lion and the Dokkaebi. Now they've got the Nomad on the board, and I think that is a much better change of face. They've also opted to take off the Thermite and swap it out for the Ace. Maybe it was an expectation of going down to the basement, and this was just a change that they thought might come through for them. Either way, it gives you the idea of pace. It gives you the idea of you can be more aware of your surroundings whilst using your gadgets. With Ace, you can sort of get it down, and then you know, eyes on elsewhere where you need to be. Gorgona are obviously picking up an operator where they can shut down the problem that they've suffered the most, which is being comfortable that they don't think Vitality is going to strike back. And to be fair, most of them aren't, apart from P4, who is having an outstanding time just running around this map.
All right. Bottom floor is under control. Just trying to push forward here as their approach seems to be bottom up. Something we do not very often see anymore. To clear out from the bottom, just go up from there, and of course it is a very, very normal opportunity to go for. Like there's 2 ways at this site. Either you're directly trying to go for a plant, or you're trying to clear the bottom to make sure that these C4s that have been quite prevalent will not be hitting, and then you try and move on from there to maybe sneak into that bathroom that Cactus is currently holding. There's 2 ways at it. But for now, they still need to clear out Archives because there is Bibu currently playing there.
I know, he's playing so deep and he's buried, and you're concerned another missed run, another missed moment here might cost them, but they've actually seen a scrape on Bibu, and that instantly pulls Rise back. He was creeping around the back stairs. He wants to push on this fight, but it should theoretically be steadily watched. There it is. There's Sloth, a little bit too late, but gives them a lot of food for thought and forces a bit more pressure to happen from the rest of the push here. Cactus has the double up. Rise is still eyeing this swing round, which, to be fair, if it popped off, would be monumental. You've got the diffuser isolated by the body underneath. You've got Bibu still counter-droning and still playing. On the backside of Archives, he doesn't have the easiest rotate out of there, which is why Vitality's looking to try and offer him some support elsewhere. And he finally feels confident enough to make a bit of a mad dash and pull himself away. And to be fair, 2 minutes wasted is really well played by them underneath. Now it's in actually the kitchen.
He's just quickly grabbing a sandwich and running off again, making sure he wastes some of that time. Sloth now trying to hit the side, trying to hit the bathroom, and Arkic is going to be repelling in, has the opportunity to go for the plant, and as Cactus will be dropping out, has the opportunity to go on the Yokai drone, but it might be too late. 0.1, there it is, 45 seconds on the clock. Vitality have no clue that that plant has gone down.
This is what I talked about. If you're going to try and sneak a plant in, usually you would see it happen on this site because it gives you a little bit more in terms of, well, they've probably got a little bit less here. There are these holes opened, but it's easy to get the counterplay on them. They went for a bit of a defuse there, pulled off because of the pressure that's on the window, but there's the shutdown from Bibu. There is Rise, just going to hold it and stick it. They're not going to be able to get to him in time. And Vitality just took that post plant back.
The issue with the issue with that plant is if you do not have the window control, and if you do not have admin control, it is very difficult to make sure that that diffuser is not going to be counter disabled.
Yeah.
With the run out, you took out the pressure from the window. Now, if I might have been mistaken, but I don't think anybody was on that top 4 ready to try and challenge Vitality as they were trying to go for the counter defuse. So with that, Cowana, well, they managed to get the plant out. They managed to sneak it in. Just nothing else was set up for that take. And considering the fact that they went for a bottom-up approach, you also don't really have that top 4 under control. Also, don't think there was any verticality from below that was being used from the garage. Of course, it's not the ideal angle to try and fight them from, but it's possible. Vitality with a good retake there. Second one, I believe it is, throughout this game. Managed to counter defuse. And right now, it is going to be Cowana on the back foot. 1 round behind as Vitality is coming in strong. Let's see if Vitality can make this into a 4-2 or whether Cowana is going to be able to find some of that magic they had during the first 3 rounds where they were able to bring back an early round deficit into a very successful and very, well, almost confident win, even though it was 1v1s, 1v2s. It looked like they were in control.
I think it's just been such a great response from Vitality. They sort of realized what they were able to take away from Cowana and what was successful for them, and they've built upon that. They've built upon the pace that they're applying against them. They've built upon their ability to dig in against Cowana. They're consistently biting at them now. They're not sort of sitting back and playing towards the holds and letting P4 do most of the motion. It is this consistent liquid movement around the map itself, never letting Cowana get as comfortable as they were in those opening couple of rounds. And Cowana, they're sort of stumbling because of it. There it is. Another suffered blower body either side. Narkic gets Cactus, but Shinka is able to do a quick swing there onto Sloth, and P4 doubles it up. Drops Grizzly a huge hop out. Something you come to expect from this map itself.
Yeah.
Gorgona's waiting to try and get the catch and the response there. P4 knows this, and he's waiting for Shinka to actually offer some support. It's the spray into the window, forces them off. A very good play there.
Very good indeed. Just waiting, holding for a second, knowing that you're most likely not instantly going to be challenged from on the outside, and waiting for a bit of support so you're safely going to be allowed to move back in. A lot of information is being gained here, however, by the side of Cowana, and as flashbangs are being tossed in, surely they're trying to follow this one up with a repel maybe soon, or at least a push from somewhere, because they need to do it at some point. Of course, it's still early on. Air jabs are being deployed right now, and that basically just makes sure that Bibu is not allowed to move, and Shinka picks up yet another kill. This is going very well for Vitality right now.
Yeah, Cowana are entirely stumped as to how and try to pull any of these defenders out of position. There is this constant cover now. They're not letting these angles entirely slip away. Covana's sort of pulling at straws and striking at any window that is close to see if they can take something out of this defense. But look at this. They're moving. They're re-establishing themselves. P4 is on a tear. He's causing so many problems for them, and I think he was doing this before the change up, but as I've said before, Vitality realized that this is what is stopping Cowana. Great take by Gorgona. He's got to make another 3 to be able to pull himself into this round and find some success here. Has a lot of time, but still, burying and removing defaults doesn't mean that there's too much hope currently, unfortunately.
There's 44 seconds on the clock right now. It's Cowana in a 1v3 situation. He just managed to shut down P4, who, as you said, has been a true nuisance for the likes of Cowana. Just able to be there, disrupt and rotate around to catch someone else off guard every single round is basically what he does. And as Cowana is trying to go for a peek here, he gets a couple of shots down onto it. Now, the Malusi Banshee will be crying as well, and two people will peek him at the same time. That is just an easy cleanup right here for Vitality. He managed to get one, but unfortunately not the second. And with that, Vitality is going to be able to extend their lead just a little bit. And after we had 2 rounds in a row for Cowana, where they managed to fight back from a bit of a deficit, they managed to, well, bring it back all the way to 4-2.
Yeah, I think that's entirely on Vitality, if I'm honest. Sometimes you'll see teams put pressure and then slip away. I don't think Cowana expected the step up from Vitality. I think Vitality are the reason that they started to take those rounds, and it wasn't that Cowana changed their pace, it's that they were sort of read and they were realized what was happening. Vitality were giving them too much, and they were able to strike quickly and put themselves into these still 1 versus 1 and 2 versus 2 situations, but they could take those out of their play by just being a little bit more aggressive, being a little bit more active.
And that's the thing, right? They probably realized, okay, guys, we get these 2 kills round 1. We're going all the way back to round 1. We get these 2 kills to start it off with in admin. So their take, the plan, the strategy, completely ruined. They have to do something else. So the decision that they made from Cowana was to go in from the window and from yellow. Somehow managed to win that one. That doesn't really go well. Now, the second round, again, opening kill. Great. But it's like the Cloud9 came out inside of Vitality there. Opening kills don't really matter that much for them, and they lost the round again. So, you know, after that, they managed to bring it back in round number 3. Then we had a little bit of a rehost, which gives opportunity to talk, of course, between the players themselves. So maybe they realized this and this is going wrong. We're a bit too aggressive for the man advantage that we're having, or a bit too passive for the man advantage you're having. There's 2 ways at it, because P4 after that, completely on the flanks every single time, so disruptive, just shutting them down one by one. They're looking to go for the setup, and our kick is droning, and then P4 comes up, gets the headshot, rotates all the way back to the bottom floor, and try and hunt him down like that. There's no way that you're going to find him.
Yeah. Now it gives you this moment, obviously, to see how it happens and factors into the turn of the half. We're obviously going to have Cowana on their defense, which on Consulate, if you're playing this sort of loose and aggressive, I see space, I'm going to take it playstyle, Consulate reads very well for that for defenders. You can be very successful. You can really sort of bring stuff together, whereas sometimes the slow and structured thing can be punished by a team that is quick, by a team that is kind of almost instantly on the punch. It's a thin map from being outside to being on the plant and sticking the diffuser. And at the same time, because of that, it's that double-edged sword. Is a team like Vitality that loves to do these kind of big executes, these big setup and takes, and they'll take control. They can either be at their strongest here on a map like this, where it's they know exactly what they have to do, and it's only really 3 rooms deep that they need to feel completely secure in their execute, or if they can't get a handle on the roam game, if they can't get a handle on those top floors and just keep them away for the 7 seconds they need, plus time to burn utility, it can all fall apart.
I'm afraid Cowana might have been a little bit too focused on getting the plan down, if I'm honest.
That's fair.
Because these first 3 rounds, they lost a man trying to plant in the first 30 seconds or something in the round, and after that as well, just a complete retake. The retake positions or the hold of post-plant positions weren't really set up. They got the plan down and got screwed over because Vitality was so quick on the retake that they totally did not expect that. So, you know, it's good to play the objective, just you need to make sure that you're going to be able to use that objective in the end. And well, now they're on that defense. They are the ones that get to set themselves up, and it's up to Vitality now to show, hey, boys, you don't always have to go for the plant straight away.
Instantly 3 bodies into admin here. We saw this as a big point of their very first defense, and they opted to pull away from it once they realized the push was coming elsewhere on the other defenders' defensive holds that they had to do. So here, them being able to take that room very quickly and the aggression that they can apply here is...
He's in?
Look at this. And I said that they can be a team that if they see this sort of opportunity that they need to take these control of the rooms and set themselves up, this is it. This is the response you get. And Admin was a big play and a big hold for them on their defense. And in terms of Cowana, they just left it P4 with a triple, leaving only Grizzly in a very tricky situation here. He's got obviously that body upside down repel on Suicide. He's going to try and C4. There's a vertical hold coming through, and they're still putting this pressure on, spraying as much as he can with a gun that can be surgical in the right hands, but performing surgery in 3 different directions is unfortunately impossible and untenable. Vitality with such a good take.
Is this Challenger League P4 that we're seeing right now? That is my question.
It's a timeout, we're saying.
There's a timeout we're seeing, that's for sure.
There it is.
But I'm wondering, is this Challenger League P4? And some of you might not know, we casted Challenger League when they were coming up, and P4 was this fragger that would just be inside out of nowhere. Basically what you just saw happen, because we were calling it, and Kendra was taking some shots from the window, and suddenly P4 in the middle of the side getting a triple kill.
I think, you know, it's great to see. It's great to see that confidence. It's great to see them this whole map. They've been outstanding. There's no two ways about P4's performance so far. But as I was sort of alluding to, the 3 bodies getting into admin completely unchallenged, then able to take vending, got Visa stairs, still unchallenged, for something that they set themselves up with 3 bodies on that hold on their defense, which we saw. They had a lot of utility that was sort of burnt over there too. They expected an admin play, I think, and they went, well, as I said before, they're a team that they'll take 2 or 3 rooms and then feel comfortable to plant. And that's it. There's the proof. Then you were driven by an Ash that just screamed through onto site, realizing, well, we've got this far. I have 2 bodies in a situation to try and get the trades off me. We've got somebody setting up on Suicide as well. Let's just go for it. And Cowana were caught lacking.
Vitality showed in the first round why they did not want Cowana to go through admin.
Yeah.
Then they realized there's no pressure. So let's just show why we put up so much pressure there. This is why you should stop them from getting in. It's, well, no challenge all the way up to long desk, basically, because P4 able to sneak in all the way in there and get that kill through the 1 hole. That is not reinforced. Of course, will be a rotation. Now, surely Cowana is going to be putting a bit more pressure, you would hope, towards the side of admin. Because Vitality, well, if it ain't broken, ain't fix it. You know, it's like, if they have the opportunity to do it again, why not do it again?
I mean, what a first bit of a moment here. Again, you know, it's always great. You don't want to massively highlight just the sort of entry, just the sort of fraggers that are stepping up. But to come in onto day 1 with this much power, this much pace, and this much sort of confidence on a map against a team, which, okay, Cowana technically still the newest team to the league, but Vitality had a bit of a mixed bag season, and Cavana's last was very good when they were in a sort of control. Unfortunately, this is one of those very bad days where we saw the Cowana where they just sort of hadn't really been able to grab any of that lockdown. It's not that they're entirely underperforming. It's just, I think, as you said in the attacks, they were a bit too lasered in on one factor, and it seems to be, I guess, the same on their defense, as they're being a bit, and I sort of said Vitality were on their early round, a bit blasé about what else is going on. They need to be more aware. They need to be more sort of in line with how this map is playing together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, talking about the, is this Cowana looking to go for a run out? At least he's setting up for it. Of course, has the opportunity. Oh, there's Rise actually with the entry kill. That is going to be Yuama gone. No more discs will be deployed. Of course, luckily, you still have Sloth available on that Jaeger who put down these ADSs. And at least some of these projectiles should be caught. The question, of course, is will they be caught?
Cowana is still toying with this run out. There comes the call that somebody's on. They go past the air jab, and there's the drop. Just pulled off the kill onto P4 before the trades come through, but it's doubled up, and blue is unfortunately all into the favor for Cowana now, as they find themselves just left with a single canister that's about to be thrown out to buy a bit more time, and Sloth dancing behind that bomb chassis inside the CEO. There's a big hold that's held on the bit of a split. There's one on the top of yellow, and then the other push on the CO windows itself. But then you still have 2 more bodies, 2 more blue bodies for Vitality. They're talking, they're communicating, resetting up their drones and their pressure. They're going to try and force Sloth out in this situation. It puts an Arctic in a very tricky situation. There it is. those split angles, 3 of them that they had to play against. A fantastic collection by Vitality onto the body. They're still able to slip away and draw more attention in the meantime. And Arkic is lasered in onto the top of yellow. There is the rest of the bodies that can at this point swing their way around, but they don't have to. Vitality set themselves onto map point.
Vitality is being so strong right now. I'm not sure what happened, but this is definitely an upgrade compared to what we've seen in stage 1. Wanted to say, the call was there for the run out that we're going to try to pull. It is just a thing that if you get someone below the 100 HP, whilst repelled, it will be an instant kill. There is no DBNO when someone is repelled. Otherwise, P4 might have survived that one there. But it doesn't matter in the end. Vitality find themselves onto match point. And not just one match point. No, it's going to be 4. And by the way they've been playing, I don't think they need them. Not all 4. That could be R6 events, but I don't think so.
I mean, it's so tough. And you can see it on the faces of Cowana. You can see that they're sort of struggling because they just haven't been able to have a handle on it. And they saw opportunities and took them on their attacks. Here, they don't really have that same moment because it's not an opportunity that you see from Vitality. You're just suffering their attacks. You're suffering the plays where they're answering your questions that you're putting forward, and you're sort of, you know, you're not able to strike in and try and stick the diffuser down or go for these big clutch moments because they've already tied themselves in that web, that hole. They said they're a great execute team, and this is that in motion. This is that with all the solidity, all the angles. They're able to reconvene and reset themselves up. They're just kind of taking the run here on Consulate.
It's a big run indeed. Cowana still trying to get started. They had a good start at least, but after that fell asleep a little bit. And Vitality just able to answer, as you said, every single thing that is being brought, either by inserting P4 in the middle of the site within 30 seconds, or with baiting people, well, not really baiting, but being ready to go for refrags right after runouts happen. Everything is being thought of here by Vitality, and as this seems to be a bit more of an objective-focused round, as the exothermic is already being put up, Sloth quickly trying to relocate one of these Banshees. It's going to be the wall that has been opened up quite quickly, and both of them will be opened up quite quickly. Kendrew above is going to be key to this hold. If he manages to stay alive, if he manages to take them out as they move in, that could be very big here, as grenades are being tossed in all the way to a CEO. It is Kendrew that is currently still not under pressure.
Yeah, they were hoping to get that body on the window, but that allows them to sort of push them away. I said it before, the pockets of space. Vitality like to clear, lets P4 slip by that opener. He's taking a fight down the back corridor. He's trying to make it land, but so are they. Finally, they put him down with everything in the kitchen sink, but in the meantime, Vitality have dug their way through all the way into the kitchen. They took that singular fight, and suddenly, Cowana are caught entirely napping.
How do
the
you lose
spray
that
round the
cannon?
back, Gorgona is the only one that's able to make something happen now. They've got to pick the diffuser up and try and get another stick on it, another plant. There might still be an Echo drone in motion, which is causing problems for Cactus to get this stick. They're looking for an angle, but with a minute 20, that is so much time. They're still putting this pressure on. The C4 goes and gets them. Gorgona gets a little bit of Shinka. Cactus cannot find the safety of the plant. It means Bibu has to dig himself further into the kitchen. Grizzly is holding the door itself, waiting for this swing round, waiting for the approach. They're finally going to try and stick the plant one more time. It's a bit of a close angle, and it looks like they're going to be able to pop this one off right now. It slips through. Now a post-plant situation, a 2 versus 1, as Grizzly does suffer just at the end. Bibu gets his revenge in his response, hopped on a triple kill. Gorgona goes around the back and finds it. Now, do they know? Obviously, Cactus is just waiting far out, way deep, holding on to a very distant angle, 20 seconds. He's able to get the spray. He's got to be aware of it, though. He's looking for the feet, sees the crawl. He's trying to secure it. He thinks he's just down.
Oh, this might lose him.
There it is. You've got to make a bit of a quick run here. You get the quad. He's looking the right way.
Oh, he gets it. Oh.
Finds it.
You see it on their faces as well. That's a bit of a close one. Let's just put it up like that. I have to say, it was a very good round of Vitality, but just the Yokai drones were the issue right there for them to actually nail that one. because it kept on disrupting them. They were in the kitchen first, then they were on the back of the armory, back of the garage, in front of that white van, back towards the kitchen, then in the middle of the garage. Finally being able to get that one down, and with a bit of missed time, you can almost say, because as soon as the Nomad, as soon as Bibu decided to go for the secure on the kill, you saw the hopping from the Mozzie onto the table from security. And if you would have watched that angle, that would have been game over now. That would have been a Vitality win, but either way, it is another match point we will be going into. The IQ is being brought out now. That could be a direct counter to these yokai drones that have been annoying them.
A 4K clutch, I mean, it takes you around, and I think the way that you want to highlight this potential is you look towards the Na'Vi map on Continent before, where Blur was the one that was able to pull off a huge round, and then behind that Na'Vi built up a couple of bits of confidence. There's a bit of a longer journey to find your way into OT here, and there's probably a lot more confidence that you have to build, but it is at least something, and credit to Cowana for getting in. Bibu almost pulled it off. That was a very important take there.
Now able to get it down here. He didn't know that, like, that could have lost him the game. At this point,
I mean, there was a second, surely? A second,
half a second maybe, because I'm not sure if it's still the 7.63 that we have been talking about before, or if it's...
It was close.
It is very close. Too close for comfort, you can almost definitely say, and... Well, Vitality, they will feel that one. That could have been a 7-2 victory here, but now they will have to try and find a 7-3. Is Cowana trying to find themselves yet another round. And as you said, Blur back then for Na'Vi, able to pull off one clutch, then a second clutch, and after that the team started to live up, and Blur himself as well. This clutch might be what was necessary for Cowana to get them going into a rhythm where they have the opportunity to try and bring this to an overtime to make sure that at least they will get a point. But if Bibu picks up the first kill like down to Sloth, that is not going to be helpful at all. That is going to be harming them so much as you lose such a valuable player.
Sloth, he hasn't quite been able to dig himself into this map. He was a little bit hit and miss, and if we're going to talk about seeing the CL versions of P4, unfortunately we have not seen CL Sloth really so far. It's just an inability to dig yourself into these fights, to find all that space and keep causing problems and pressure across the board here, which, as we said, has been the big thing that Vitality, they aimed towards it originally, and then they sort of said, well, we've got to be a little bit less flat and a little bit less sort of conceited about our control here. And to be fair, that response and the way it's carried over onto their attack has been exceptional. P4 slips in above and is going to start trying to make this pressure happen. Cowana is dug in on that close corners. Didn't know that P4 has slipped all the way, but it's still a bit of a tight fight and a tight angle. So the longer he is there, the more of a problem he can be. The swing around on the opposite side now is the pressure onto the side and piano.
Have no clue that he's on top of that hatch there, dropping any second now. And in the meantime, a member entering the garage for bathroom. Kendry will be able to pick up that kill to Rise. Brings it back to a 4-on-4, and Cowana is still just chilling up there on the hatch. Has the opportunity to go for a great flank here, and as long as he stays up, he also has the opportunity to fight for that vertical control. And surely he has heard the player right next to him right now coming through. And at P4, he has absolutely no clue that Gorgona's in that corner. Just a simple wall bang could save you this round, and he's just checking the floor as he gets picked up. Gorgona will be making sure the top floor stays in the control of Cowana. And will that be enough to yet again nail another round for them?
I mean, patience played off, and they cannot just leave him up there because they know as soon as they try and stick this diffuser in, it's a very quick pickup, something that they punished Cowana for trying previously. It puts them suddenly in a very tricky situation for all the rhythm and rhyme that has otherwise fallen into Vitality time. This time round, it's actually going to be them going for the stick on the slip side. Kendry goes down, the cover comes through. There's the canister, though, that just cuts that diffuser off before it gets stuck. 10 seconds is a very long bit of time if you're Cowana, but for the camp of Vitality, they're panicking because they got to pick this up, try and slip through. Bibu goes down, and Cowana find another round.
Miss Drone was also Grizzly the other time that was just hiding in the cupboard, in the cabinet. I think it was. Not quite sure, but that's the second time we've seen such a big miss drone where a flank comes in or an important kill comes in where important control is lost, and that is just something you cannot have happen. Not at a point like this.
Vitality obviously taking this time out because, sure, you just lost 2 rounds in a row and you've still got 2 chances to lock it off, but the last time out and the last moments that we've had in Brace and Play, they've been able to build themselves stronger and stronger. You don't want this to slip further away because that 6-2 has very quickly turned into 6-4, and they're starting to heat up. As we said, you don't want to allow them to build some momentum, and you've, in a way, got to try and re-find what you were able to do before, which was our control, our coordination.
That's the big thing. You need to get back in control. You need to take that driver's seat again off that round like you have before. Think about that round where they went for the top floor, just 3 men into admin, P4 running into the side.
Yeah.
Triple kill coming through. There's nothing they can do anymore at that point. You just completely took them out of the round. Of course, you cannot just send P4 in every single round. That's not gonna work. So you got to find different ways of doing it as well. And well, they do manage to find the entry kills here and there. It's just that they are, yet again, just like the first 2 rounds, not able to capitalize on it enough due to these small mistakes, due to not droning around the corner or just quickly checking it as you're coming around as well. We do see the Echo being 6 picked out, and Oryx is coming in. We did see the IQ coming in from P4, so of course they are worried about a potential Yokai drone messing up their rounds as well if they manage to get the pace down. This time it is going to be Oryx, the one operator that can jump up hatches. Of course, if you want to discount Amaru from that one, as of course has the opportunity to repel up hatches as well. But actually took out the hatch there, the table. Very smart. Saves you an impact. You can just run into it. I'm not sure if it took damage. I don't think it did.
Emotional damage. Love that. Yeah, I mean, you get the idea of verticality. It's something that we've highlighted a lot. You always talk about the synergy of the map and how it's quick to go from the top to the bottom. Everything plays into each other very nicely.
Yeah.
And on paper, asterisks, Oryx is a great possibility here. On paper.
We say this every single time we see
because
Oryx.
you want to see it successful.
We do.
It could be successful here. It could be monumental. It can entirely pull apart a team's droning and prep and reconnaissance by just a single pop and play, but it's not easy to make work.
It's definitely not. And Sloth just dancing around the window right here. Grenades are being tossed in, so they are well aware of his position, and he will dig in a little bit deeper. Nitro will be tossed out. Could be a kill, but detonates a bit too late. And B4, however, will be able to pick up the kill onto Sloth. However, do not rappel in that window because Gorgona is watching it from a longer angle. You need to make sure that... Oh, is he going to run out? Is he going to just jump through the castle barricade right here? He has the opportunity of doing that. There he goes. He's going to be going for it. Goes for one, gets it as well, and might survive as he goes through. Grizzly gets the other one. It's a double peek outside, and that is going to be the turnaround and potentially the potential of Oryx that we were pushing into.
I mean, hey, on paper, that's one of the things that was listed. It's usually 3rd or 4th on the list, but if they've got the confidence in a map, as I was saying before, whether it is from verticality droning or from just a castle that you don't expect to pull off that quickly, there's also impact. But in that situation, the double peek, the cover, the swing round, the intel from the pulse to lead them into it as well, a fantastic coordination and use of a bit of utility there, and once again puts Vitality in a bit of a back foot, dropping them elusive. If you're unaware, those are changed now. If you get close, you can shoot them open as soon as that canopy opens itself up, and it's a quicker drop now. It makes things much less of a hazard on that slow and steady, and they're not going to be entirely swung on from the other side of vending.
Definitely not be. As they're now quickly trying to find if they might have top control here. It's going to be Gorgona with yet another important kill. He's going to be trying to go for a 3rd one. Just crouching around the corner. Super shorty in hand, I believe. He's going to be able to get one shot, then will be downed. He will be able to pick up that kill. So brings it back to a 2 and 3. Round is still possible here for Vitality. They just need to be very careful with how they will approach this, because there is still this vertical control. There's 2 Nitros in hand, and both of them will be guided by Kendrew. You cannot go for a plant. You need to go for these kills.
Yeah, at this point, it's so tricky because with those C4s, as I said, with that pulse that's consistently throwing that intel and information over to them, they're just going to feed that to the others. There's Shinka going to stick it. There's the first play and lay of a C4, but they picked it up as soon as they heard that intel. It's a dangerous dance.
Oh no, he killed himself!
He killed himself with a grenade! Who needs the C4 in that situation? Tried to thread the needle through, but unfortunately got punctured and pinched himself. Only a handful of seconds here. He's going to try and do what we've said before has been a bit of the impossible. The timer ticks round, and Kendrew cuts the man with a shotgun. 6-5.
The grenade got stuck on the cabinet filing on top of it and below in the archives. And thus didn't travel further. It might have got stuck in a box, because if you throw something, the lid of the box first gets destroyed and then the box itself doesn't. So maybe it got stuck in a box there, just blew up right underneath him. Very, very unfortunate. As a result, Cowana now able to find themselves into a point where they have the opportunity to fight for overtime a little bit better than the 6-2 that was earlier on the board.
I mean, you've got to give credit to them to be able to stick themselves back in. We can't not mention that the round where they started to bring things back round, because it was 6 rounds in a row for Vitality.
Yes, it was.
6 rounds in a row. The 7th round that could have been theirs was a 4K clutch situation with about a second left on the diffuser for them to be able to actually make it successful. And Cowana did, and why I say Cowana, Gorgona did.
Yes.
Gorgona, who's having a fantastic resurgence on this map. And he's a player who sometimes he'll beat himself up about misplays and missed moments and losses. Exceptionally skilled player. And one of the ones where they, as a team, when they stepped into Tier 1, it's great to see him thriving because he's so much possibility. And this is sort of the proof of that, is when everything's going against them, to build around a player like that is sort of the proof of that. 3 C4s, 3 smoke canisters. They're set up to try and utility burn this if they want to. But it's how much, I guess, work you want to Sloth to do a little bit more at this point.
I'm going to say Gorgona is basically doing what Blur did for Na'Vi against VP. Starting off with 2 great rounds, and after that, getting your team back in the saddle. Of course, I think the gap was a little bit bigger than Na'Vi had to fight back. I believe there was only 2 rounds against VP. This was 4, and well, it's still going to be one that they need to clean up before they have the opportunity of going for an OT win. Now, important to note, Vitality, every single round have been able to, well, not every single, but most of the rounds have been able to get the opening kill. However, so many of these rounds are being brought back by Cowana, and that is really something you cannot afford to let happen. We've talked about it with Cloud9 during SI, 30 opening kills, and yet they were knocked out super early on. You need to make sure that you make these kills stick, and again, a lot of damage done early. Gorgona down to about 30. If you would have picked up that kill, that could have been very big for this round.
A lot of communication is now passing itself around. Obviously, Gorgona and Sloth have both suffered from those window holds, but they haven't gone down, which is one of the best changes that they've been able to pull off so far. Still slipping around, still trying to find some semblance of where they can dig themselves in. Most of the bodies are otherwise down on this basement floor for now. There's just Gorgona that's above the hatch. It's soft. They can find their way through it if there is the support that comes through from their team. If they need to, they can obviously kick their way down that drop, but it's going to be Archives that hits it up. Visa with a bit of a hot drop here. Bibu makes it work though, and Arctic goes down. That's air jabs on the backside and the spiral. That's going to make things a little bit trickier as they swing around and find Malusi too.
It's going to be the second kill to come in right here. Yet again, we have this double opening kill situation. Now, he is being left alive. Sloth is given the opportunity to try and recover himself. And of course, his teammates will be trying to push up and try and make sure that some pressure will be on. Rise will be spotting out Sloth. They will be knowing that he's down. Gorgona will drop as well. It's only up to Kendra and Grizzly now in a 2-on-5 clutch situation. 50 seconds on the clock. You can surely not give it away right now after you have been making such a great comeback. Please, fight on for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, they're looking now to see if they can just pull one of these Vitality bodies away. They're getting aggressive and responding, but P4 has it covered. This is yet again when Vitality are at their strongest. They're going to try and get the pick back up, but Bibu is the man to lock it off. Almost a meteoric return to form, but Vitality find themselves when they needed to most. Just before OT, they're able to take the full 3 points. Nice.
Oh.
Nice, Rise, nice. I'm sure Bartosz on our socials isn't going to have a lot of fun with that later.
I think he will definitely have a lot of fun with that later.
Yep.
And with later, I mean like 3 minutes from now, as it will be popping up in that case. But yes, Vitality, they had such a great first half. They had such a great start to their second half, and then Gorgona basically pulled back Cowana a little bit into that game. Just unfortunately, it was a bit too much. It was a bit too long that they had to fight back, and Vitality will be able to pick up their first win of the stage straight away.
First win of the stage for them and for technically any team, as we find them with the full fat 3 points. But, talking of the number 3, because there's 3 of them, that's how this throw works. Let's go to the desk.
M is surprisingly not our best at